The privacy settings on your iPhone or Android devices may not be enough. Turns out Google is recording your movements even when you explicitly tell it not to. That's what an Associated Press investigation revealed today. Now, the CBC senior technology reporter Matthew Braga has been going over some of these findings, joins us now from Toronto. So Matt, what are the basic ways in which Google is tracking us?
So there's two settings you want to be familiar with. One is called location history, and this is how Google is able to get a sense of where you are in the world, how you move from place to place, where your favorite coffee shop is, what restaurants you might like, how long it takes you to commute to work, for example. And the way it does this is it collects your location while you're using Google apps and services, but also when those services are in the background. And so on Android phones and on iPhones as well, with Google services installed, it can collect your location even when you're not using it pretty regularly, which is how it's able to put this picture together. Now, if you disable this setting, you might think that's the end of it, that Google's not tracking your location anymore in any sort of way, but that's not actually the case, because there's another setting called web and app activity, which also collects your location in more limited circumstances, but still collects your location all the same. So when you're making a Google search, looking up something on Google Maps, even checking the weather, these direct interactions also have your location appended to them as well. And so that's something separate that you have to go and either remove individually or turn off altogether to minimize that tracking from taking place.
Right, so that's interesting, and something that a lot of people may not know, that there are these two settings, location history and the web and app activity. Beyond those two things, I mean, you can turn them off. What's the bigger picture, though? Well,
the bigger picture is, I mean, when you look at the reason why Google is doing this in the first place, there is a certain degree of, I guess, good here, right? They're saying that they provide these services that are supposed to be more relevant to you, these suggestions that are more accurate, more personalized, better recommendations, but there's that transaction where they require your location and your data in order to be able to do that. And they're not the only ones doing that. And that, I think, is the bigger picture here, where, you know, you can look at what Google is doing, you can disable these settings, but that's just Google we're talking about. If you look at all of the other apps that a lot of people might be using, then you have individual settings for Facebook that you have to deal with. Your cell phone carrier knows your location. There's lots of actors that, if you're the sort of person who wants to minimize this stuff, you have to be really vigilant about all of the different people that you are providing access to on your phone.
A number of different actors and a lot going on under the hood. As you say, Matthew Braga, thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.